Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Derek Elliott from Dirk.com, and today we are finally going to be creating this shape-shifting pots animation. It's one that I created a couple months back, got a lot of attention and interest, thank you for that, into how it was done, and it's done with shape keys. But as you can see, the tutorial does not end there. Sorry, it's like another hour-long one, but I got to get all the good tips and tricks in there for you. So yeah, we're going to be covering everything from modeling, materials, lighting, shape keys, of course, working with modifiers, some animation, all to arrive at this result, which I'd say is pretty close to what I created. And this is, of course, rendered in Eevee, though you could follow the same process and render it with cycles. Now, one thing you will notice is that we're not going to completely cover the smoke animation. What I will do is walk you through my original file and go over the settings I had there, but I actually used the old smoke simulation system, and new in Blender 2.82 is MantaFlow, which may be better and definitely has a different workflow, so didn't want to throw anyone off too much, especially if you're watching this in the future. But if you are interested in that, there's some other YouTubers that have some good videos out already, and I know there's more to come. So back to my original file, when I created that, I had not uploaded a tutorial for a while, so I was feeling kind of bad for the folks over on my Patreon, and I uploaded the full file over there. So if you want to check that out, then you can join up and you'll have access to tutorial files and the occasional little extra, like the full file from my original animation, which they've had access to for a while now, and it's still there if you want to check it out. So join up, go on, play with that, and yeah, thanks for being here. Like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is obviously make our pot, and I'm going to do that by pressing Shift A and adding a circle. Now when you do that, there's going to be this little window down here that pops up, and that is that's going to give you some options. So what I want to play with here is this vertices option. I want to change that from 32 down to 8. Normally I say kind of do whatever you want with some of these values, but in this case we want to use 8. I think works pretty good just because we're going to be using shape keys and we don't want to have too much geometry to work with, so 8 is a good number. So what I will do now is tab to go into edit mode, and I'm going to press E and Z just to bring that up on the x-axis a little bit, and then I'm going to select this bottom ring by Alt and left clicking, F to fill it in, and now I have really just my very basic pot shape. Now we are going to want that to be a little bit smoother, so I'll do that with a Subdivision surface modifier. And yeah, so now it's smoothed out a little bit. One note on this modifier, I want to keep the render in the viewport settings the same, so I'm going to turn this render back to 1. There will be another Subdivision surface modifier in the stack later that'll smooth that out even more, but for just getting started, I think just this 1 is going to be what we want. So I don't want this bottom to be rounded so much here, so with that bottom face still selected, I'm going to press I to inset, and that's just going to give us kind of a nice just a little more geometry to work with for one when we're making our other pot shapes, and then also just kind of an edge loop to define that edge. Now I will add one more edge loop, that's with Control R, bringing that down there, and now we just have kind of a nice even pot shape, and we'll be making different shapes, of course. That's the whole idea with this tutorial. So with that there, we want to give it some thickness, and I will do that with a Solidify modifier. So I'm just going to bump the thickness up on that a little bit. Something like that I think is going to be good. And yeah, so with that together, I need to, let's now add, I believe, our handle. Yes, let's do the handle. So to do that, just kind of what I think I like to do is just select these two faces here, and then I'm going to duplicate them, and then SZ, just kind of scale them down a little bit, and then I'll actually scale on the x-axis a little bit. It's going to intersect a little there. I'm not too worried about it. And I'm pressing 2 to go into my edge select mode here and here. And I just want to move these in a little bit. I'm going to press G twice with that edge selected. And then if I hold Control, I can look down in the bottom corner somewhere. Oh no, top left, edge slide. I'm just going to pick kind of any value there. 0.5 looks good. And the reason I was noting that is so that I could do the same thing over here and just know that these are even. So you can eyeball this, it's not a huge big deal, but yeah, you can use the hold control while you're dragging to keep even increments. So I've got that kind of separate piece there. So what I'll do now is extrude it out on the y-axis. And now you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is S, Y, and 0, just to flatten that part out. And then I'm going to press 3 to go into my side view and just kind of adjust this shape just to get something nice. Now I don't, again, want too much geometry here. So what I'm doing is just using some very basic shapes to kind of make that handle. Now I think what I will want to do is add maybe one more edge loop right here, just so that it kind of cinches up onto the pot a little bit better. And yeah, I think that looks, it doesn't look that good. So let's scale this part in a little bit. That might look a little nicer. And you could even add in another edge loop there. Kind of just, I'm pressing G twice to kind of edge slide these. You just want to move it around so you got kind of a nice shape, because this will be the first shape. So we're going to be kind of using this one to base the other ones off of. So you just want to have kind of decent geometry going on here. Something that's going to be easy to work with. So I think that looks good. Now what I need to do next is I'm going to add another Solidify modifier. So basically I want two. So I want one to control the handle thickness and then one to control the pot thickness. So I'll need to add another Solidify modifier, but what I need to do first is add a couple of vertex groups so that, when you have two Solidify modifiers, they don't really play well with each other unless they're only working in one place, and we can do that with a vertex group. So down here in this object data properties, I have my vertex group. So what I can do is press this plus sign here, and that'll add a vertex group. So now if I tab into edit mode, and because these are two separate parts, I can press L anywhere on this pot, and that'll select it, just because it's like a mesh island, I think is what L selects. And I'm going to press assign, and then I'll double click to rename that one to pot. So now if I go back over here into my modifier, I can check this right here. This is to define a vertex group and change it to pot. So now you can see that the Solidify modifier is only being applied with that vertex group, which is the pot. So now I need to do another Solidify modifier, and this one will be for the handle. So I'm going to add another Solidify modifier, and then I'll tab back into edit mode, go over here into my properties, and then I'm going to press L to select that and add a new group, assign, and we'll name that one handle. If I can spell handle. That's very tricky for me today. So assign, make sure that's selected. And when you're working with vertex groups, if you just kind of want to check things, you can use this select option just to see what's selected when you press select on that one. And yeah, so those are looking proper. So back over here in my modifier, on this Solidify, I want to select the handle. So now I want this to be quite a bit thicker. You will get some weird behavior here. I think this has something to do with the vertex groups and like new geometry being created, but I don't know exactly what's going on. It took me a long time to figure out when I was first doing this animation, but I found that if you move this Solidify up, and then this is going to sound funky, and then you, on the other one, which I should name these, so this is a handle, you can name modifiers, by the way, or rename them, and this one's pot. So then on the pot Solidify, if you like change the offset, then it tends to work a little more like you'd expect. So that's all fine. So I've got kind of a thicker handle. Maybe we make that a little bit thicker even. And then I've got a thinner pot. So still not looking quite how we want it. So what I'll do is add in another subdivision surface modifier. And that's going to start to smooth everything out a little bit. So with that one on, and again, I'll leave those the same, the render and the viewport options. So with that all together, we've got a much more smooth pot, and you can right click and shade that smooth. So now, one thing that does happen with this is that you don't get a nice, like if we go into a wireframe, you kind of get this rounded over top, but I think it looks kind of nice. It's fine. If you didn't want that, you might have to go into working with the Solidify modifier a little bit more, but for the way I did it and what I think turns out looking just fine is just to leave that kind of edge like that. And that's just a product of kind of how these modifiers are all stacked up. Sometimes when things aren't working out for you, you just kind of have to go with what's working and make something up. So that worked for me. And yeah, so now I'm just going to kind of play with this shape a little bit. Maybe we can move this in a little bit. Just want to get kind of a nice looking shape here. And now this doesn't have to be exactly even, I know I mentioned, but this doesn't have to be perfect on the backside here. The way I ended up rendering it, you didn't really see this part too much, and that's kind of one of the reasons is sometimes I had a little bit of trouble keeping the keeping this all nice and cinched up. So yeah, I just kind of didn't show that part of the pot. But anyways, I think that's a pretty good looking handle. You know, you can play with this as much as you want. Maybe I want to kind of round that part out. Again, you don't really see that, so yeah, let's just leave it. It looks fine. So the other thing I did add, and again, we're all still in just one object here. So this is all together, and that's going to be one thing that makes the shape key adjustment a little bit easier, is just having this all be one object. Now we will add the lid, which will be a separate object, but right now we're still just working in one object using vertex groups to kind of control where these modifiers go and build this shape out. So that's all together, looking pretty good. Maybe we want to like move this down. Would that be a nice detail? Oh yeah. Sweet. Okay, so the other thing I did have, and I'll show you how to do it, is just another, let's like duplicate this, Shift D, Y, and then, so I kind of made this like a, you know, like on pots, I've got those little rivets holding the thing together, holding the handle on, and I'm just selecting those little planes there, and just kind of rounding them out. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's kind of a nice little detail, right? If you don't make it completely ridiculous. Actually, I could make it match by selecting this one, Shift D, S, X, -1. Would that work? GX. Oh, and then we would need to flip the normals. Oops, F3, flip normals. There. So now we got those little chonky boys there, little rivets hanging out. They're poking through, looking good. Just a nice, another little detail, something we can easily adjust with our shape key. So with that together, let's move on to, I guess the main point of this tutorial was the whole shape keys thing. So let's maybe do that next. So to add some shape keys, I'm going to go over here into the object data properties, and then I'm going to add a shape key. Press this little plus sign right there. That's going to be called basis, which is just fine, but I'll name it pot 1. And then I want to add another shape key, and I'll name this pot 2. So now what we need to do is make sure you're on pot 2, make sure you have that selected. What we're going to do is tab into edit mode, and we are going to begin making our adjustments. So for the first pot, I'll just do a kind of a simple thing. I'll maybe scale this inner one down, scale this down, maybe scale this out, maybe make this whole part a little bit flatter, S, Z. Now, when you're working with shape keys like this, really the only important thing, like the most important thing, is just that you don't add geometry, don't like add any more edge loops or anything, and don't remove any. You want to just work with what you have, which is why we were kind of paying a little closer attention to the geometry we were setting up at the beginning. Is, you know, you want to make sure you've got enough to work with. So, you know, at this point, it would be kind of too late to add too many details. You might want to back up a couple steps if you're realizing you don't have all the detail you need to create the pot shape you're looking for. So, so that's the pot itself, kind of like a walk shape, if you will. Now for the handle, I'll just press L to select that, and then I'm just going to kind of move it over and just make the adjustments so that the handle is kind of cinched up where I want it. So something like that. Maybe the handle on the walk is like a little bit longer, maybe thinner. Maybe it's doesn't have quite such a divot. Maybe it's up. Maybe it's whatever you want it to be. Just play with it. Spend as long as you want, as little as you want. Just get done with it. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm digging that. So now I need to move my little chunky boys. I don't know why I'm calling them chunky boys. They're just like these fat rivets. RX. Just kind of move that right there. And then maybe back a little bit. There, that looks good. So now when you're tabbing in and out of edit mode, you'll see you'll lose those changes. But that's because now if we have this shape key selected, we've got this little value slider. And we can just use that to go between them. So that's pretty much it for the effect. If that's all you wanted to know, it was nice knowing you. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. But we are going to move on to, I think, some shading next, and then we'll talk about maybe setting up the lid, if you want to add a lid to your pot, and how you can make that move as well, and then some animation and stuff, of course. So let's leave that at that, and let's go over here into our shading workspace and start giving this some materials. So the material I'll start with is just the main pot material. So I'm going to press New here, and I'll name this pot. You can name it whatever you like, but I'll name it pot. And again, you've got many options here. You can change the color to whatever you want. I'm just going to leave mine pretty white, maybe like a little tan, I think is kind of what I did. I kind of envisioned this as like a ceramic sort of. And that's actually the reason I ended up doing that is kind of because of the way this was rounded over. I was like, oh, that looks more like a, like it was handmade, or it was like kind of a thrown pot. So, that was kind of my thought there. And with that, I added a little bit of subsurface scattering. Just give it like a little bit of you kind of get this nice highlight effect where the light's kind of coming through in those corners. And I like that a lot. If you don't like it, don't do it. As far as any other settings here, I'll leave this pretty much how it is. You can add a little texture to it if you wanted, but I'm liking the way that looks. So let's go ahead now and add in another material. That'll be the handle. You can do these in whatever order you want. You can do the handle first. Now for the handle, I will make it kind of like a deep gray, something like that. And let's go ahead and assign that material to where I want it. So I'm going to press L to select that, and then L and L, and then I need to hit assign, and that will assign the that handle material to the parts that I had selected. So that's on there. That's looking good. Now the next thing I did also was add in kind of like a bottom to the pot. So let's add another material slot, and let's name that pot bottom, as one would name the bottom of a pot. So to select that, I'm going to press 3, select my face there, and then I'm going to hit Control plus once just to grow that selection, and I will assign that. So now we have another material there. Now to see it, of course, let's maybe make it metallic, and you can do whatever you want here. And you can make it shiny. You could do like a copper material. I mean, just doing something like this is going to be the easiest, but I will actually add a texture to it. And this is a question that some people had about kind of how I did that. But what I'll do is I'll just press Shift A. I was going to tell you to install a node wrangler like I always do, but in this case, you don't necessarily need to do that. But I'll add a texture, image texture, and then I'm going to navigate to where I have that saved. Quick pause the video, look for all my secret information, cookware, texture. There's the texture, pan bottom, as I named it. Oh, so wait, that one's pan bottom, this one's pot bottom. I'm gonna have to call the tutorial quits right here. Just kidding. Drag that in. Not gonna work. We need to, okay, we still got this selected. I'm gonna go to my top view and you project from view. And then over here, I can change this to a UV editor, and I'm just gonna kind of move that until it's nicely aligned. Now, while I'm doing this, I will say the reason that this works is because, so like we'll do, and I guess I'll show you how to do the square pot as well, but when these circles are going to deform fine. So like when we slide between things, and let me actually drag myself out a little timeline here, so maybe I can show the actual transition a little bit better. Let's do a timeline, and over here in the settings, let's do so pot 2 is insert keyframe here, and then maybe in 30 frames it goes to pot 2, so something like that. And we can just for now make our end 30. So the texture moves too. You would not want to, the reason it works well with the circle is because it's like a simple shape and it's going to just deform fine. But like if this text was on the edge, it might start looking funky. But with having that right there in the middle really helps to not get deformed too much. So the UVs are deforming when you change your shape key as well. So you just want to be careful. An image texture might look kind of funky if you tried to do something like that. It might get deformed weird, but the texture I used here was kind of designed to not mess up. So anyways, with that on there, you can have that control a number of things. I think I will have it control the color, but I want, instead of this metal color, I want it to be kind of like black, and I want the rings to be kind of a silver. So I'm going to add a color invert just to change the black to white and the white to black. And yeah, something like that I think looks pretty good. Now, another thing you could do is maybe have it affect the roughness. So I'm going to drag this color into the roughness field here. And then so now it should be, remember, black is 0, white is 1. So yeah, we got a really shiny kind of where those rings are, and then the other part is rough. Now, I don't want it so shiny or so rough. So I'll actually use, sometimes when that's the case, like a lot of times when I'm setting up my maps, I use black and white just to have like, 1, 0, have clear definition. But in the case of roughness specifically, I usually don't want extreme rough and extreme shiny. So what you can actually do is, you could do that with a number of things, but a lot of times you do a color ramp. But what I actually like to do is use this invert. And then what I do is I just drag it back a little bit so it's not inverting it so much. Or so, yeah, I guess I would leave that as a 0.2. And what that kind of does is it kind of just pulls the values together. So the white becomes a little more towards gray and the black a little bit more towards gray as well. So they just kind of, those values kind of come together. It's a little less visual than a color ramp, but it works pretty good. So now that these, now those rings aren't quite so shiny, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So do what you want there, play with it as much as you want. You could even add a bump here. Maybe you want those rings to be bumped out. Drag that into the height. And yeah, you've got little bumps now. Let's take a look at that. Maybe I can invert it, turn the strength down. Yeah, just kind of a nice little detail, subtle. You obviously wouldn't want to turn your pot upside down because then Dirk.com would be backwards. And people might try to go to mock.carad. Okay, that was dumb. By the way, I'm like finally working on my website. I gotta get a new one up there. But anyways, that's looking good. I think I'll leave my pot like that, pretty close to what I had in the animation that I made. So yeah, that's cool. Let's leave it at that, and let's now do some, what's next? I think we'll do, maybe, should we add another pot shape? No, let's add the lid. Okay. So I'm gonna go back into my layout mode here, which I guess you don't have to. You could totally do this in the other view. Now you could steal some geometry from this and kind of use that to recreate it, since we're gonna use some of the same modifiers, but I wanna have kind of a fresh start here. So I'm gonna add a circle and then just bring this up a little bit. Use the same 8 vertices. People always get upset if you say that wrong. Don't know if I got that right or wrong. I can never remember. Paranoid. So I'm just gonna make a lid. Oh, I want to make sure that I am on one of the frames. Yeah, so I was not. So let's start adding some modifiers to this. So we're obviously gonna want the subdivision surface. But before that, I think we actually want to subdivide first to make it circular. We can leave that at 2. Actually, I think that would go all the way up to 3. Well, we'll leave it at 1. We'll do kind of a similar thing we did before. No, let's leave that at 2. Okay. So give it some thickness, and yeah, I'm just modeling the lid here basically. So then, this might go out, something like that. Kind of just nests in there nicely. We can shade that smooth. And while we're doing it, let's go ahead and give that the handle material, so that we can see in the viewport. Let's go down here, viewport display, and make that kind of a darker color, just so our viewport is a little easier to understand. So that's cool. That looks good. Oh, and I always forget to turn it on. We can turn on cavity. It doesn't make much of a difference now, but it's really cool when you're modeling. If you use this little cavity option, it makes ridges and valleys appear better or something. I don't know. So that looks fantastic. Is that all we need to do? No, I think I had let's maybe add in, I don't know, where does the glass attach? Let's just have the glass kind of seamlessly merge right there. Or maybe it would maybe this would come up. I don't know. Go look up pot design on your own. I'm going to press Shift D to grab this. I'm going to press F to fill it in, and then press I to inset it. What I'm going to do now is make the glass. It's kind of hard to see what I'm doing here, but yeah, just move that up, something like that. And because we've got all that subdivision surface modifier action happening, we don't need to worry too much about rounding that out. You can see we've just got a very basic shape here because we're going to be working with this as well, you don't want it to be too complex. So I'm just going to kind of scale this out so that this kind of intersects how I want it to. Oops. Let's get that thing. Okay, so this will be the glass. So let's shade that smooth. Shade smooth. And then for this one, I will go into the normals option, turn on auto smooth, just so that I can have those sharp edges be sharp. Now, I think I want to add in maybe one more subdivision surface now so that the roundness matches the pot that it's on. And so I'll leave that at 1 and 1. So we got 2 first and then we got the 1. So 3 total, which this was the same. So we've got 1 and 2. So 3 total. So that just like anytime you work with circles, like if you have a different amount of vertexes on one versus the other, then it's going to look, there I go saying vertexes again. Is it vertices? Vertexes? I don't care, guys. I don't care. So I'm going to add in another material. Let's go back into our shading here. We're going to add a glass material. So to do that, materials, new, glass. Now for glass, let's go ahead and Control plus to assign that. Oh wait, Control plus to select it and assign to assign it. Okay, so that's our glass material. It doesn't look like glass. We want to take the transmission value all the way up. The alpha depth value will bring down a little bit. And then over here in the settings, if you're going to be rendering this in Eevee, which we're going to follow an Eevee process for this, but I rendered mine in cycles and it does, I think, look a little bit better in cycles, but of course it takes about 1,000,000 times as long, so the choice is yours. I'm going to turn off shadows, so I'm going to do none, and then on the blend mode, I'll turn it to alpha blend. And now we've got kind of a nice clear pot. Now I want the glass to be nice and shiny, so let's bring that roughness down. Oh yeah, that looks good. And we've got that solidify modifier, so the glass is getting thickness just as we like. Now, how about a little bit of a cute little handle for that thing? Let's press Shift S, snap our cursor to selected, and now I am going to add in a circle. We'll use our favorite 8 vertexes. I'm just going to alternate. You guys are going to have to deal with it. Let's assign the handle material to that. And now for this, again, do your research here, but it seems like they usually have like a little part down there. And then let's Shift T to maybe just bring this up a little bit. And then EZ. And let's just delete that face so that now we have not what I wanted at all. And just do something like that. I think that looks good. Now you could kind of just move this down. So I have this as 2 separate objects so that I don't have to have too many edge loops here, but and you know what? The more I'm looking at this, I think I want things to be really sharp. So I'm gonna get rid of this solidify. Yeah, that looks better. Or sorry, that subdivision, and I'm gonna add it back right here. So let's shade that smooth. Okay, that's looking a little bit more like I want it. Now these I don't really want intersecting. You could add like a little screw down there if you wanted, if you were gonna see that, but I'm not really going to. So let's go back here into our look dev, and yeah, got our nice little thing there. You could adjust that shape as much as you want, or what we'll do is change it for every pot. So that's our first pot. That's how we modeled it. So obviously if we move to here, it's not working for us very well. So we can go into our Vertex Group area thing here, add a shape key, and name that pot 1. I guess it should be like what, lid 1. And then I'll hit this plus sign and add lid 2. And now we just need to do the same thing we do with the pot. We need to go in and make our adjustments. So I'm just going to press S, Shift Z, scale the whole thing up, something like that. Maybe bring it in. Maybe this part gets kind of comes in a little bit, just to kind of match the pot that it's going on. And then, by the way, to do this pie menu, which obviously just drives me crazy, you press Z and you just drag different directions. I can never remember which direction is right though, so I usually just press it a bajillion times. So, oh wait, that's what I just messed with. And I didn't like the way it looked. Is that that going to do it for me there? I think that looks pretty good, right? That looks good, right? Tell me, people from the future. Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, like, you know, you could, if you didn't want that to get bigger every time, you know, you could make it, you could do that. Like, ooh, eat your little handle. Okay, that looks ridiculous. Let's move that back. Again, remembering, don't add vertices. Don't subtract, don't add, just play with the ones you got. So get them right the first time. Follow the instructions. Okay, so for this, we're going to want to change that as well. So let's, and we are kind of slowly moving into animation here. Let's have that start with a 0. And then over here, it turns to 1. Insert keyframe. So now it shifts with it. Now you may notice some intersections in weird places when that happens. Shape keys move linearly from one to the other. So you shouldn't have too much trouble, but if you do, you can just kind of play with the curve values or just adjust your object a little bit. It's kind of finicky. It might be something you have to mess with, but it's working pretty good for me, so I'm going to move on. So yeah, I got the lid there. Let's talk just a little bit more about, let's maybe do some animation. So I will go back into my layout view here. Actually, we could stay in this shading just because it looks so nice. And then maybe I want to change this to like a graph editor. I think I'll end up using. Yeah. Okay. So what I need to do, let's maybe get rid of this light because I don't like it. You're going to have to do some lighting eventually, obviously, but I'm just going to go into my camera view here. And then actually I'll do Alt-G, Alt-R, Shift-tilde. Okay. So I just want to get like a nice view that I completely already had. I didn't need to change. While I'm doing this, I'll change my resolution. You know, since you're going to post this on Instagram and share it with me, right? I'm going to use a square. So that looks cool. I'll leave that right there. But let's like have it tilt and move around and stuff. So I'm going to press Shift S, snap my cursor to selected, and then I'll add an empty, which I actually don't think I want right there. Let's move this up a little bit. And then I'm going to click this, and then click this, Control P, parent to object, keep transform. And then now in these empty, I can control the rotation and stuff, but not be actually changing the rotation of my other objects. So maybe I want that to lean forward a little bit, and maybe it starts kind of facing that direction, and then it moves to kind of like a different direction. Something like that would look cool, right? You can see I'm just doing exactly what I did. Adjusting my camera, giving myself some space. Maybe move kind of like down a little bit. Just, you know, get it framed nicely. So now we have our very short animation. It shifts, looks very nice, but it would be more interesting if the pot top popped off, right? Let's have it start at the Z location of that, insert keyframe, have it finish also right there, insert keyframe, but then somewhere in the middle here, have it pop up, insert keyframe, and maybe even you could have it like rotate. Once again, following my own lead very closely here, insert keyframe, insert keyframe. So you want to add keyframe where it starts and ends so that, you know, those are good, and then make your little adjustment in the middle. So is that the way I want it to rotate? Oh yeah, that's looking pretty sick. Pretty sick. Hopefully you guys are following along. If you are, like and subscribe, leave some comments, and for real, share it with me on Instagram. I'll be looking forward to seeing all of your shape-shifting pots or other things. That would all be great. Be great to see it. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna leave it like that. And now, since it's a little bit different and people were asking me, I'll show you very briefly how to do the square version. So like if you want to do a square pan. So let's make our animation end at 60, and then I just need to basically add in another set of shape keys. So this is all rotated funky now. Let's go into our layout view here. So this is rotated all weird, and like if you wanted to go in and model, that's just not a good angle to model at. So what I like to do is usually when I'm rendering it's from frame 1 to something else. So what I like to do is just go over here to frame 0 and then just change the rotation back to yeah, so I want this to be 0, but I didn't ever insert a keyframe, so let's go ahead and insert a keyframe there so it stays back. Now I can change this back to 0. So that frame would never get rendered, but it's good because then when you go back to model, you can just go to frame 0 and everything's nice and evened out for you. There's a number of ways you could achieve a similar result, but that's how I like to do it. So let's make that other pot shape. I'll add in a shape key. New. Let's have it be, oh gosh, that's a vertex group, Derek, not a shape key. Let's add in a shape key. So pot 3, we will name that one. So now for this, a little bit funkier, but I will. Now I think there's a couple of ways to do this, but I believe what I found to work out pretty well is you want to flatten those out. So you want to scale them on the x-axis, but you don't want them to go like that. So you can change your pivot point to individual origins, which since these are separate selections, I believe this will work. SX, yes, and then set that to 0. Okay, yeah, so I'm holding control and it's to 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with this. SY, hold control until you're at 0. Oh, come on. 0, there we go. And then maybe I'll make the whole thing a little bit narrower. Now you want to, just for the sake of animation, you want to keep things kind of centered here. So I think that looks good for me. And then maybe I mean, I guess technically we should do these as well so that we have everything deforms nicely. Like I think if we enable our textures here, yeah, so the texture's kind of stretched a little bit weird. I think it'll look better if we do this SY0 and then select these ones. By the way, I'm in Alt Z to go into this kind of X-ray mode. SX0. There, and just like that, you've created a square. So that is really the reason we're using so few vertices in the beginning, is so that when you want to make something like a square, you don't have to move a million vertices around. That's going to get bleeped out. So now we need to do the same thing for this guy. So let's go ahead and insert the keyframe where that would be. So that is going to be, shoot, you know what? Now, okay, so let's have it be 1 right there. Insert keyframe, and then right here it should be 0. Insert keyframe. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Oh wait, I didn't. Okay, so this one has to go back to 0 right there. Insert keyframe. So now they're kind of like it's becoming 1 at the same time. So that's where you can run into some intersection issues and stuff. I obviously need to do the handle now as well, but let's so while we're modeling this, maybe what I'll do is set this to 1 so that I can do the top. But I also needed to do the handle here, so let's select this, move it down. Oops. GZ. And then just kind of make our adjustments here. It's getting real crinkly here. G twice to edge slide. Now again, so this is a case where it's going to look a little funky. So what you can do is just not worry about it. We are not going to see that part too much. So this doesn't have to be perfect. You can even have it kind of intersect a little bit. Like let's move this over a little bit, something like that. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. We do need to adjust these though to L, GZ, SY0, just flattening things out there. a Z. Let's try to turn them into circles again. And then, yeah, chunky boys are back in place. Looking good. Okay, so that should be good. So let's take a look at that animation here. So, and the darn lid is in the way. All right, let's make the lid now. So back here at 0, let's add a shape key. Let's name it lid 3. You can see where we're going with this. Hopefully you are you kind of get it by now. Is there an easier way that maybe I could just select like all these S, Y, 0? No, because these are on different planes. So let's actually, I think that could even stay a square. Let's select this and this and this and this. A little bit of a tedious process here. 0. This is why you don't make square pots. It's because it takes time. S, X, 0. I wonder if it takes longer on the manufacturer's side to make a square pot. It's got to, right? Circles are just like how machines work. Circles are everywhere. I love circles. S, X, 0. All right, now we got these guys, this and this. And so I actually didn't, I think in my animation, change the top one to be square. It kind of looked cool when I left it circle, S, X, 0. And then here we've got this guy and this guy. And this girl and this girl. That's right. This pot is multi-gendered. S, Y, 0. Did we get everything? No, we didn't. We missed a spot. Here and here. S, Y, 0. So we have slowly but surely created our square shape. Now, with this shape, we would want it to be sitting back down. Or does it have a, I don't think it has a vertical value right here. So I want to go ahead and move this down into place. Probably should have done this first. Okay. So when that is 1, yes, it sits nicely. And look, we'll even be fancy. This is insane. Watch what I'm about to do. S, Y, 0. We'll even make this square. People think you don't know about details when you're doing your animations, but you show them this pot here, they'll lose their minds. Because that barely looks square, but that's fine. I'll leave it. So back in our camera view, let's animate those other values. Okay, so 30, it's there, and then we need lid 0 or lid 3 to be at 0 here, and then we want it to be at 1 here, and at that point this should be 0. Oh shoot, insert keyframe 0. So now does that move? Yes it do. Now I didn't really change my handle shape there, did I? Let's go and change the handle shape just a little bit, just a little bit, I promise. Let me make it like a, you just want people to see that you put the time into it, you know? You wouldn't want to leave anything uncharted. There. We're not going to do any crazy circle stuff for that, or square stuff. Maybe like these get smaller though. Okay, I'm done, I promise. That's good. Nice. Okay, so let's add the little pop-up for this guy here. So Z, yes. Y, yes. Right here, insert keyframe, and then have it pop up. Pop. And let's have it rotate the other way. So that time it went negative Y. Let's have it go positive Y this time. Insert keyframe. Boom. Nice. Now, if you wanted to make it loop, you could do that. You would need to, let's go back to here. And then so, what do we got? that way. So let's have it rotate the other way again. I think it was, yeah, just a 0 there, right? Boom, boom, boom. Now, if you wanted to like sit for a little bit longer in each shape, you could select everything here. And then if we dragged out like a graph editor, you can use this normalize option so that everything's a little smoother. Okay, wow, that's a mess. Okay, so we got to assume that on frame 30 is where everything is where it needs to be. So let's shift D and then X. And then on frame 60 was another one. So like there it sits a little bit. We just duplicate those keyframes so that everything stayed still. So that's cool. If you wanted to make the lid look like it popped off a little bit more, you could find out where that value was, which is going to be the Z location here, and make it go like this. So watch this now. Just kind of flies off a little faster. Give it some more hang time. Bring that out. Make it slam down. So play with these curves for 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days. 10 days is gonna look better than 10 minutes, but it's probably too much. So maybe like, yeah. Maybe like if you really wanted this to look good, and well, it depends on your experience, but on mine, I probably spent 2 hours maybe messing with all the curves of the various shape keys and stuff to get it looking right. So yeah, spend more time, it's going to look better. Now for the lighting, I think what I did here, I'll do this in, I guess we'll go ahead and do it in Eevee. So I'm going to add a plane, and then because I'm all rotated weird, this is not going to work for me very well. I'm just going to add like a little bit of a kind of a backdrop here. And let's just move that away. Scale it up, make sure it's completely uneven and awkward. Yep, that looks good. Let's add in a light, maybe an area light. What did I say earlier? How much I like circles. Let's change this to an ellipse or a disc. I always forget. And then maybe bring that size up. Maybe bring that power up. Power up. Turn off the overlays, see how you're looking. Turn on all these darn Eevee settings. What do we got here? Screen space reflections. Yeah, I probably want that. Refraction. Sounds like a good thing to me. Shadows. High bit depth. I still don't know what that does, but I turn it on because it sounds right. And then maybe back here we do like kind of a backlight. Dude, I hate that flickering thing. Let's turn back on our overlay so I can see where that darn light is. Let's, oh my God. Okay. I gotta turn off. Jesus. That flickering. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what the cause is. Now, if you truly wanted it to look like mine, you'd want to go in and add a material to this plane, make it like a black, basically, and maybe turn the roughness up quite a bit, specular maybe even down a little bit. And let's take a look at this. You are looking at pretty much the animation. So let's take a look at this in. Oh yeah, there's actually another cool detail. So I forgot about this. And again, I know we've probably going for a while here. I'm gonna check. Oh my God, 47 minutes, Derek. This is ridiculous. I just can't make a short tutorial anymore. Okay, but again, you guys like the details, right? You guys like the cool stuff. Let's add some accent here. I'm gonna do Dirk red because that's what I do. Let's make it Dirk red, which is going to be something like that. So make all it orange. You're wrong. And then I can change the solidify rim to that. And then I can, so now the rim gets kind of that different color there. So maybe that's like a rubbery. Turn the value up. Something like that looks cool. Yeah, I dig it. All right, what else could we do? I think that's probably pretty good. So now when, oh yeah, so that's when you're gonna see it, so when it pops up. And you got that nice red trim there. Now I think I do need a little bit more in the way of lighting. Let's I always like to have two views here, so let's have this be our rendered view. NT, and then I'll do my lighting over here. So this light maybe can come back a little bit. This is why I always like to work with things more even, but I'm gonna at a weird angle here. That's all right. We're gonna manage. Let's turn that power way up, and let's move it up here so you don't see it back there. And then maybe this can kind of come back. This gives us kind of that nice rim glow, if you will. That looks good. And then maybe we would want to add like one more light, just kind of like down here. I'm pressing R twice to kind of give myself a sort of a free rotation. Maybe this light's kind of like over here and not nearly as powerful. Let's see how that looks. Nice. Okay, so I will mention it in the intro. I haven't recorded that yet, but I'm not going to do the smoke part now. That's I will actually. What I'll do is I'll open up my original file and just kind of go over some of the settings and how I did that. But with MantaFlow being out, a lot of other great YouTubers have some videos on that, and a lot more are coming out soon. I haven't played with it a lot. I feel like it's probably the way to go nowadays with smoke simulation. So I actually did mine in the old program, or the old like smoke simulator. So I didn't necessarily want to show you how to use that when there might be a newer, better thing coming out soon. So yeah, last minute details here. Maybe you want this handle to be a little rougher. Texture, I think I had a slight noise texture on it. Normal. Control T with the node wrangler, change that to object, add vector, bump. Get a little bit of a plasticky bumpiness here. Bump that scale up. Bump that strength down. Just to give it a nice look. Shade smooth, this auto smooth option, I want that on, but anyways, I think that's part of the soft shadows. But yeah, just tweak things, play with it some more, get it how you like it. Don't stop till you like it, but be sure you finish. You don't want to spend too long. Maybe I want this to be a full-on black. Yeah, it's just endless little details and stuff at this point, adding it. Playing with things, moving things around. So yeah, let's. I'll hop into the next part. I'll go over some of the smoke settings. But thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching this far. If you did, I know it's a long one once again, but I wanted to show you all the details, kind of how I did this. This is animation that I had a lot of fun doing, and I wanted to be able to share that with you, of course. So I will stop fiddling with this, I promise. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next part, next tutorial, whatever it may be. Thanks for being here. I love you dearly. See you next time. Well, I'll see you in the next part. I think I'm going to record that. Okay. Bye. Okay, so here we are in the actual file that I rendered for the animation you saw. This is the one that's got all the smoke stuff, as you can see, and just in general, like, yeah, it's just, this is the more refined version. Now, I made this animation a long time ago, and it took me longer than I expected to get the tutorial done, but I actually gave this file to the Patreon like 2 months ago, since, I gave it to him pretty much right after I made it. I hadn't released a tutorial in a while, and I felt bad, so if you want this actual file, it's on the Patreon. It's been on the Patreon, and so for as little as $2 a month, you can go get that, have fun with it. You would need to bake it yourself, because the bake files are just huge, and I didn't upload those. So, but let me tell you just kind of quickly how it's done, but I basically have an object down here, and that is a smoke flow. And now just for the sake of showing stuff, okay, so that's a smoke flow. When you're working with smoke in particular, and I'm not sure if it'll be different in MantaFlow, but it's a lot of trial and error. You got to bake things a lot. It can be very time consuming. Depending on the power of your computer, it can be prohibitively time consuming, where it just takes so long that you're just not going to really get a good result. But these are my settings here. So this is just an inflow placed below the pot, and I think I actually have some shape keys. Okay, no, I don't. Maybe what I did, oh yeah, I moved. Okay, so it's just a circle, a simple circle, but I have it moving so that when the so it looks like right there it actually went through a little bit, but so that it would stay kind of on the bottom of the pot. Now the pot I do have as a collision object, I think. Yeah, so I have it as a collision. I don't know if that really worked out the way it was supposed to or not. I think there was still some intersection, but I also have the lid as a collision. It might have done something to kind of contribute to the way the smoke moved around. It looked like it did, but again, it's like these bakes take so long that I didn't. It's kind of like eventually I was just like, okay, that looks good enough, and kind of called it quits right there. But so those are the settings there, and then the bulk of the settings really happen on the domain object. So here's the settings I have for the domain. Domain type is gas. I may have used a higher level of divisions in my final. Actually, no, I don't think I did, because there's like another setting somewhere here in noise. But yeah, there's like, I'm not an expert with this stuff. I didn't want to leave you completely hanging. You could use the smoke simulator to recreate something similar where there's the steam and stuff, but it's just very time consuming. And again, check out some new tutorials on MantaFlow. I think that's going to be a really cool thing for smoke simulation. As far as the smoke material itself, this is what it looks like. So I think the density is, I think that's a very low number, so that it looked kind of transparent. But again, this is just a lot of trial and error. I can, so my rendered view is going to be ridiculous because it doesn't have the actual bake file in here, so it's just trying to figure it out. But trial and error. These are the settings I used for the smoke material. These are the settings I used for the domain. You obviously need to bake it. I think the final bake in mine took like over an hour, several hours maybe. So it's, if you're working, I'll just be honest with you, if you're working on like a lower end laptop or something, or you don't have a lot of time to kill, where your laptop can just be cranking away at high heat, murdering itself, then I would stay away from smoke simulation. It's really fun, but it can drive you up a wall. It's really frustrating. The only other thing I will mention here is that I had tried adaptive domain. Sometimes what that will do is it'll reduce the size of the domain so that the calculation happens faster based on where smoke is and where it's not. But I had an error with mine, and this is probably going to be different in MantaFlow, but where it was shrinking the domain more than it should. So I was seeing smoke being chopped off where it shouldn't have been. Beyond that, I don't know, lots of options here, but yeah, if you want to check out the full file, mostly for the sake of just kind of the pot animation, how some of these textures are applied, then I encourage you to do that. It's on the Patreon. Check it out. But yeah, that's about it for the smoke. Again, it's not exactly fun. It looks really cool, but it can take some time. And again, maybe there will be some good improvements with the new MantaFlow system. So keep an eye out on some other YouTube channels for that. It's something I may cover eventually, but I haven't looked too much into it yet. It's pretty new in 2.82. So yeah, thanks for watching. I think this is going to be the official end of the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or just talk amongst yourselves. And yeah, I'll look forward to seeing what you all come up with. Definitely send me what you do on Instagram, post it. Sometimes I like to share some cool animations, especially if you do something besides pots. If you take the techniques you learned in this tutorial and do something else, I love to see that. So that would be really interesting. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time, and like and subscribe. Yeah, peace.